So, what's the price of something? Price of admission. We know that that inherently has a value to it. And we usually assign that to have financial or monetary value, which is a fair thing because that's generally the price of something. What its cost is, what it's worth in a currency sense in today's society. And I was just thinking about this. I'm not a financial whiz, guru, anything else. I'm living paycheck to paycheck like many of you. But it just got me thinking when we talk about the price, let's break down the price of something. So if we're looking at the price of something, P, we can start with our portfolio. Just our overall look at what do we have, what have we accrued, are we invested in stocks, bonds, just cash? What is our portfolio? Now, if it's not that far along, then a lot of times, what did our parents and our grandparents work for? A pension. So we can put P as pension portfolio, and there might be something else attached to that P that some of you might be able to identify and put in the comments. Guys, this is an open format. These are just my thoughts, so I'd like to share them. But for people who are more learned than I, please share in the comments because that's really what these videos are for and these discussions are for, is for everybody to be able to say, I can contribute to that or I can learn something from it. So when we're talking about the pension, that's our long term. Now, I get it. A lot of times people are going to say there's going to be no pensions, no social securities, no things like that in the long run. But I'd kind of rather prepare that maybe there is something there and it not be, then not prepare and it is there, and now I don't get to benefit from it because I did not take the time to have the foresight to say, wow, I should start looking for something like that. So pensions, these are particular jobs, these are particular aspects of employment and careers where on the back end when you retire, that company will pay you for a set amount of service years within their employment. So I think that that's an important place to look. Now, the job that I'm currently at is a warehouse, and what they have is just regular employment. It's unskilled labor, nothing wrong with that. Shout out to everybody at that job. But when I look at things where there are jobs that you could probably take a small step up and maybe work for a company doing very much the same thing with a little bit more of a skill set, you may be able to earn a pension for that or move your way into a managerial position. And I get it, it's not for everybody, but my advice would be to seek the jobs out that are going to benefit you long term as much as possible. So if you can find something that's akin to what you're doing but will pension you out, by all means, find that job. I do believe that that would pay dividends in the long end. So again, let me know what you guys think when it comes to that. So based off of a pension, now we're talking about retirement. So what is the retirement plan? Because I see a lot of people who are in their 50s, 60s, maybe not 70s, but maybe 70s, and really never planned. And so you get to the end of these working productive years and it can really be problematic. And it's a sad thing to see, but it's also part of just society. Not everybody is going to plan or prepare, and I've been less than prepared up until this point for various reasons. It wasn't neglect. A lot of people have a huge gap in time, like I do, because they were stay-at-home parents, and so you weren't working, you weren't building credit, you weren't building your social security, you weren't building something in the pension, things like that. You were at home doing what people call the toughest job ever. That's a whole different topic though. So when we're talking about retirement, get into your jobs, find out about the 401ks, any investments, things like that that you can get involved in. There are, I believe it's Roth accounts, there's IRAs, accounts that you can open yourself and be able to invest in yourself, I should say. Now, the 401k, most places they will do some price matching. So if you're not familiar with what that is, if you put a percentage of your check in, they will match it up to a certain percentage. I believe 3%, 5%. So some have been up to 50 I've seen. So that would mean in a 50%, that means for every dollar you put in, they'll put in 50 cents. So you stay long enough at the company, and you will start to earn money. You will build up money in this account, a 401k account. And if you stay long enough, not only do you get to keep your money, but you keep theirs as well. So that's the incentive to stay at a company for sometimes 3 years, 5 years, just depends on the company. But it's a really good way to say, I can save in the long term and recoup somebody else's money. It's just a great incentive, and I like that companies do that. And I get very involved and have been all over some of my coworkers who were not signed up in the 401k. And for some of them, what it did when they needed it for purchasing a house and things like that, that money was there, and you can borrow against it. In most cases, you can pay yourself back at my company with no interest, which is a really cool sort of thing. And there's just not a downside to it that I've seen. Now, again, somebody might know more than I do, but again, my experience has been a fantastic one as far as 401ks go. Investments. It's the same. It's in the same vein. So we could say investments, or we could just say income. What's your income? Are you earning what you want to earn? Are you earning what you are needing to set yourself up to be comfortable? And by comfortable, I don't mean vacations and things like that. Comfortable, I mean, are you able to put into, again, like a retirement plan, building your portfolio by saying, I can take this, some money, I can pay off my bills, I can take a little bit, enjoy it for myself, but I can also take a fraction of that and put it into a savings account, even outside of your 401k, even outside of something else. Just having an emergency fund that is available to you. We've all been there, that emergency medical bill, that emergency car bill, something breaks down, you have to get something done, and it goes outside of the realm of what your insurance or policies may cover, or you need the deductible, things like that. So what are we really doing to prepare ourselves? So investments or income. And the investment can just be the investment also in yourself. Are you going to school in order to better yourself to earn more income? So I think that there's a lot of pieces to that we can take from and again put together. So we've got the income for the retirement, or the investment, retirement, and the portfolio. So we're kind of building that up. So C, I would look at cash, crypto, and credit. Credit is an important one. When I was house hunting, I learned that game. From those of you know, I'll go a brief history. When I split with my ex, I had to find a new house. And in that process, well, I had good 401k money saved up, but because I was a stay-at-home parent, I wasn't doing all too much as far as my credit. So my credit was really, really poor. And even though when I was house hunting, there were places I said, hey, I could buy that, my credit score wasn't high enough. And so you have to learn that there's a balance between the two. So the cash is great, but you got to work on building your credit. The one thing that I got was a secured credit card, and it's a small amount to buy into the account, and they send you this credit card, and then it's a very low limit, but you just fill your tank with gas or buy something, and you pay that off, and slowly but surely they'll keep raising your limit. And then one day I just got this letter that said you're no longer on the secured program. Now you are just a full-fledged credit card holder. So that was a really good thing. And as I got into my home and as I was paying these bills off and everything, my credit score shot up. I really shot up in the course of a couple years, well over 500 points. Now, that's not always going to be the case for everybody, and I have to put that disclaimer in there because of the investments that I put in earlier in life with a 401k. I had the money to be able to use for my home. So guys, this is important. It's a very important piece. When you start off early, use that 401k if you can, because you can borrow against it. And in a lot of cases, in my case, first time home buyer, you don't get penalized. So a 401k is built for your retirement. If you generally draw from that before you retire, there's a penalty that you'll pay in taxes later on. Let me know if I'm getting all this right. But if you use it for something like, I believe it's hardship, school, or first time home buyer, you're not penalized for it. They will gladly allow that you take that money and be able to say, here's my new home, and you can buy into it. There might be a couple other reasons why you might be able to. So again, please leave it in the comments if that's the case. The third part of that C, I know nothing about, which is crypto. I'm going to keep sipping here. But I know it's a thing. I know it's a thing, and I know some people have had some success with it. I've talked previously about things like day trading, and that might be a little bit different. So again, please correct me where I'm not accurate with this. But if you can do it with some sort of knowledge, if you can do it and realize some success from it, that's great. But it's too new. In my life, it may not be a new thing in society, but it's too new for me to really speak to. But if it's a way that you can build and save, then I'm for it. Just be careful, because a lot of digital things, we don't always have the awareness of what it can or cannot do in our favor or against us. But fraud has always been a thing, and people have been getting scammed when they had paper checks. So I'll move on from that because I'm not too aware of it. But when we're talking about all of these things, they kind of build together. So E, I would say earnings. It goes along kind of like with your income, but what are your earnings? And in totality, we can look at just other things, other side jobs, like what is all coming in. But again, the earnings are going to be part of your savings, the things that you can invest in, the cryptos, all of those things you can put back into. Now, you can earn definitely through your savings, your 401ks, things like that. That's one way of saving some of your earnings, but the other is just going to be straight out discipline on our collective part. So when we're looking at earnings, savings, building the investment, retirement portfolio, when we're putting all that price together, a lot of it's going to come down to discipline. And the discipline is to, one, find a job. Two, keep that job. Three, show up to that job. I see a lot of people with jobs that call out almost more than they're actually there. And yes, you might have not 401k, you might have sick days and PTO and things like that. Great if you schedule that, but I'm talking about people just I'm not feeling it today. That's not a lot of discipline when it comes to jobs. Now, everybody's going to have their own set of reasons as to why, but in my personal experience, I've seen people who just didn't want to be there. That's fine, but then find the job that's going to inspire you to go in, so then you can build those earnings, savings, and all those things, because that temporary gratification should be more delayed gratification. Wait to the weekends, wait to the vacations in order to be away from work so you can truly enjoy it. But we also have our own personal lives, and I don't know exactly what creates the need for people to call out that frequently. So it's not a judgment, but it is a reality that in order to generate more, we need to actually be generating. So that's just a part of it. But again, the discipline to get a job, to keep a job, to show up to that job, and then within that, save within that job. So something like a 401k, but the discipline also is to, like we said earlier, save outside of your account, your business portfolio sort of things. Have that little side account that you don't dip into. Have that account that is an emergency fund. Some of you are going to have little accounts for your children, for their savings, things like that, college funds. All of those things matter. So what are we doing with our earnings? When I was younger, certainly I was saving, but I also was spending a lot too. And that's just part of being young and adventurous and things like that. I wasn't too lavish, but for young men who know sneakers, probably a lot of funds spent on nights out, things like that, dating. So there's places where we deserve it and we should, live that part of life. But then there's also parts where we should definitely be a little more tightened up, especially as we get a little bit older. We should say, okay, this isn't quite a thing, especially once you've ventured into being a father or a husband, wife, or mother. Then your responsibility should shift, and that should kick in. So, what are your thoughts on the price? What's the price? And what did I get right? What did I get wrong? Because again, I'm not a financial guru or anything along these lines. This is just one person's thoughts on what can I do to pass on a message that has really been passed on to me from some other people, as far as just thinking, even at a surface level financially, just thinking at that surface level, where can I go with a lot of this, and how can I break these down so we understand that there's a price on just about everything. So what's the price? What are we looking at when we break these things down? So would we say our pension, that's long-term, retirement, income, cash or credit, crypto, and our earnings, all of those things. Where can we really start to focus on each one of those and then bring it together as just one great piece of information, or one great strategy, goal that we can have for our long-term benefit, because there's a long-term benefit that needs to be realized. And I think a lot of times we live in the moment, live in the day. That's great as well, but there's also tomorrow. I guess we're not always guaranteed it, but it doesn't hurt to be prepared for it. And I think we prepare for things in a lot of other ways. So this should just be one of them. I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like, even the dislike. I won't be mad at you. And while we're talking about finances and things like that, subscriptions to the channel are free. And in this economy, that's a great thing, even when I'm stuttering. So sharing it with your friends as well. Give them something free and join the discussion. So we'll talk to you guys soon. And we're out of here for now.